Hello everybody, my name is Professor Suborno from Berry Science Lab, and today we are going to be looking at the modern history of Israel. Let's start with the Bronze Age, as promised. Alright, so what about the Bronze Age? Well, this story all starts with Egypt, specifically the pharaohs of Egypt, because Canaan, which was where Israel was established roughly in the books, Canaan was actually ruled by Egypt back then, or at least the pharaohs of Egypt, because it wasn't really a centralized state. Nothing was a centralized state back then. Just hunter-gatherers, agricultural people, stuff like that. A little bit of art too. But mostly it wasn't really a centralized state, but really just a pharaoh. So anyways, this was took by the Assyrian Empire. And then, the kingdoms of Israel from the Assyrian Empire was passed down to the Babylonian Empire. But then the Persians captured Babylon and they took control of Israel and Judah for that matter. And then, after that, Persia let go control of the region and it was reconquered by Macedonia, specifically the Macedonian Empire. Well, this was actually led by the great Alexander, but when Alexander the Great died, then great empire was partitioned and what Israel fell under was the Seleucid Empire. But then eventually it was conquered by the, you know him, you love him, the Romans. The freaking Romans. Alright, so the Roman Empire was mostly Christian by this point. Remember, Muslimity didn't exist yet. Islam didn't exist yet. It was the youngest religion, founded in 632. So it does not exist at this point in time. After this, the Romans didn't really do anything with the Jews, but the Jews didn't really like the Romans' rule. So they revolted many times. One of which, the third actually, was famous and was called the Bar Kokhba Rebellion. It was famous for failing particularly bad. So you can really see how the Jews were suppressed again and again and again by the Romans. At this point, the Jews were like a punching bag for Rome. It was really sad, honestly. Eventually, the Romans got tired and sick of this. So they banned all the Jews in Judah and shooed them out of their homes. In the process, the Christians also went too. Now, I have a bad thing to say right now. Because here come the barbarians, and they're ready to saw the Roman Empire in half. Except they won't fix it with flex tape. Instead, they'll just take the other half and leave the Byzantine Empire to die. So, Israel under the Byzantines was relatively safe because Judaism was the only, and when I say only, I mean only. It was the only religion that was allowed other than Christianity. And it was pretty small too, only taking up about 10 to 15% of the population. So, Judaism certainly wasn't a major religion. And then, plus, the Jews were shooed out of Judah, only coming to rest at Galilee. Now, the year is 450, and the Jews have been fighting for a home since the age of the Babylonians. But they still don't have a home. It's not because of the Muslims, because Muhammad would be born 120 years later, and he would found Islam in 630. It was because of the Byzantine Empire.
Berry Science Lab to fall in love with math and science, especially programming.